Now that the winter holidays are over, big news is coming out of Paradox Interactive regarding the EU5 1.1 Rossbach update, which is due to be released sometime next month and that fans have been eagerly awaiting. We have news for changes to the UI, which players, of course, have been begging ever since the game was released only 2 months ago, and I gotta say, I absolutely love those changes. And also, we've been shown some major changes to mechanics as well, regarding some more minor things and some major things, and one very major thing that has left fans divided over whether it should be in the game, should it work like that, and is it balanced enough? So today we're going to go over the latest two dev diaries, ladies and gentlemen. The one from yesterday, January 14th, about the UI, which I'm super excited to talk about, and the one from last week regarding some more mechanics changes that I just mentioned. So without further ado, let's jump in and see what EU5 1.1 is going to be all about. Alright, welcome ladies and gentlemen to Tinto Talks 94, which is the latest dev diary that PDX dropped just yesterday. Even though this is the newer one, this is the one I'm going to talk about first because this is the one I'm most excited about, and then of course we're going to go over the one with the mechanics changes later. So as always, welcome to another Tinto Talks. Happy Wednesday. As they've already showed some UI improvements, including the pinned filters last week, but here are the bulk of the bigger ones for 1.1 Rossbach. This is the first time we discover the working title of EU5 1.1, which is going to be a free update, not a DLC or anything like that. So the first thing that everyone has been complaining about ever since the start, including me a little bit, even though I don't mind them that much, is hidden alerts. So while you can click away on alert already in EU5, they come back when something triggering them has changed. For example, as we all know, your buildings are lacking employees. Okay, I don't care. And then next month, different buildings lack employees, and the alert keeps coming back. So finally, for this update, you can permanently mute them as well so they won't come back. You'll also have a quick way to access all hidden alerts where you can mute and unmute them and even unhide any you wish to get back ASAP. And this is how it's going to look. So we're going to have another little, sort of banner right here with a number on it, basically telling you the number of hidden alerts. And there we go. We've muted on this image hostile pirates. Laws cannot be codified, and that whole welcome thing, the blue banner, which that one doesn't even come back. So why isn't there? I don't know. But this is obviously, man, a super nice change. It's not about those things just being there, right? For example, sometimes when you send fleets to project maritime control and trade and stuff like that, and when they attrition, you get a pop-up, right? But for example, you're sending them somewhere and they attrition in only one sea tile, so you get the pop-up, and then they go back, the pop-up goes away, but every time they go back and forth, the pop-up keeps coming back, and you keep getting that annoying sound. So that's one of the more annoying ones that I can think of. Obviously, I don't care if RGOs or buildings are missing employees, that's all gonna get fixed. And if you're playing with automation, some of them go away too. But either way, this is a very nice change that I'm sure a lot of us are gonna use. Next, moving on to unit formation improvements, which is something that's super awesome as well. And trust me, I'm gonna say that for everything in this dev diary, that everything is super awesome. While it's fun for some of us to micromanage your army's exact formation, for many people it's annoying, and for some it is somewhat interesting and sometimes not. That's me. Somewhat interesting, but sometimes not. That's me. Well, now we have some templated options for the formation. We now also have a toggle for each unit so that it's automatically balanced every time there's been a change to your army and navy. Basically, auto balance flanks. Now this is like kind of different to like auto formation and stuff like that. Obviously, you can turn it on and it'll always like rebalance it. This is more useful for levies, right? Where, levies, you don't really bother with managing them left and right and stuff like that. So every time, they walk into a battle, get out of a battle, you got to rebalance them. This is going to do that for you. Now, if you open the formation view, you now have a few more tools to use. This little button now allows you to transfer all of the same category with shift, while control moves all of the same subcategory. So you can now put your heavy cavalry on the left flank if you so desire. This is obviously awesome as well, more specifically for actual armies and actual regulars. For example, you build up, let's say, what the meta is now, like 10 infantry, 20 cavalry, you put them on the flanks, cannons behind, about 10 cannons. So instead of manually going in and managing the formation, let's move these guys to the left, these guys to the right. You just build it up, boom, cav to left, half cav to left, half cap to right, infantry in the center, and you're done. Now, the only thing I'm interested about this is, are there formation templates? Because it does say we do have them, but I'm interested in seeing how it works. For example, you build up a formation, you save it as a template, and then you have just, you know, auto balance to template. Because when you would want to use that, when you're merging, perhaps for me at least, levies to regulars, right? Like you got a big regular stack, let's say 3 or 4k, the first one you build up, but then you're facing a massive enemy stack of like, let's say 30k levies. Boom, you want to attach 15k of your levies, and they all get mixed up and stuff like that. So I feel like that could be useful for that as well. But once again, another awesome change. Definitely will save a lot of time, and the micromanaging is still there for those of us, or those of you that do want to micromanage every single unit. Once again, an awesome change. Next, we're moving on to mercenary UI improvements. This is merely about the UI changes for mercenaries. Other changes are referred to, you know, in the last week, which I think is the dev diary we're gonna go over. But yeah, it's basically a comment that I'm gonna go over once we go over this. But there are changes to mercenaries specifically coming in too, which I also like a lot. We're gonna talk about that. But now, regarding just the UI, the mercenary recruitment, while powerful, was both extremely cumbersome and somewhat hidden. Yes. Two aspects which we are focusing on improving this update. Great! First, making it more visible, we renamed the button and put it at the top of the list of raised mercenaries you are aware of. Excellent, hire mercenary leader. It's as simple as that. Obviously, we don't want to pay 8,000 for mercenaries though, but more on that later. Also, we made it so that you can just click on a captain and you will get a good army selection from him without having to expand and select details, which is possible to do if you so desire. So you guys know how it is right now, man. I'm sure not a lot of you use mercenaries, but you go in and look for one of these guys, and then you move those different sliders around. Oh, he's gonna bring in 2 infantry guys, but I also want 2 cavalry. But if I bring in 2 cavalry, he won't bring any infantry, and it's just those sliders balancing each other. Whereas now you can simply see it, man. You hire this guy for 515 ducats, he's gonna bring in 4 infantry guys and 2 cannons. It's as simple as that. This guy down here, 8 infantry, 6 carts, you know, so this is awesome. And along with the changes to the cost of the mercenaries, which of course we're going to talk about, is going to be an awesome change. And I really do think we'll enter maybe not a real mercenary meta to where that's like everything you do, but mercenaries will definitely be super useful in the next update. And what I'm most hopeful for is asymmetric warfare, because if we go back to EU4, you know, you could play a 1 province minor in the HRE, and you could get 4 or 5 allies, and with overstacking, you know, with building up more armies than your country can support and getting more mercenaries, you could afford kind of a death war to beat up, let's say, Bohemia or someone like that, right? Whereas that's not really possible with the levies in EU5, at least at the start. So with the ability to hire, you know, this size of mercenaries, of course the AI will do it too, not just you. I think asymmetric warfare for you as a small nation versus a bigger nation will be a lot easier. But once again, an awesome and welcome change. I'm super excited for it. Next, moving on to Army and Navy templates. Finally, everyone, including me, was wondering why wasn't this in the base game? I mean, everyone used them to the max in EU4, and thankfully we will finally have them in EU5 for free, of course, in the latest 1.1 update. So one of the most loved features we added in a DLC for EU4 was the Army and Navy Builder, which was added in Art of War, probably the best DLC for EU4, back in 2014. That means for many of you, this was something you expected from a Europa Universalis game. Yes, it was. We have now added it to EU5 as part of the 1.1 Rossbach update. First of all, you can create a composition using any types of regiments you want and save the template for future use. Templates can be edited and deleted at any time, just as you expect. That's all we wanted. That's really all we wanted, man. It's as simple as that. You know, once you unlock, let's say, the first guys, for example, even just these guys right here, and let's say, you know, you build up 10, 20, 10, 6, or whatever, and then you're like, okay, at this point, I've built up enough manpower buildings, and I've got a good enough economy to where I can build a second or a third proper stack. And the way you do it is annoying. You just get one guy and then you click them around, and it's not really even easy to see how many regiments you have in the army interface, so you just count them up on that. Whereas like this, you know, you can fill it up, boom, just build it right there. It's as simple as that. You don't need me to explain Army and Navy templates. They're in every Paradox game as far as I'm aware. Once again, a great change. The only thing I'm gonna say is I have no idea why this wasn't in the game so far. I don't know if it was difficult to implement or if they didn't have time or anything, but hey, you know, we didn't have to wait that long, man. The game came out 2 months ago. We're gonna have it by the time this update comes out in 3 months, which is absolutely awesome. So yeah, great. It tells you the price, how much manpower it'll use, and how much maintenance it'll have, so you can easily calculate everything. Awesome, man. Awesome. Now, moving on, then the templates show up in the macro builder for units, and you can build them just like there. There we go. So, you know, when you go and build units, templates right there, boom, build it up. Awesome. And when you start building it, the new unit will be built in as many locations nearby the selected location as possible, and then march or sail to the target location, forming a new unit. As expected, that's exactly how it worked in EU4 too. Next, we're moving on to unit UI improvements. A tiny thing, but something that many people had requested was a less intrusive UI for the units. So in 1.1, you can collapse both the single and multi-unit screens to be as small as possible, so you can see more of the map at the same time. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Now, this is something, man, I've wanted, and it only recently came up, you know, as a thought, but you know, when you got the big, what you call it, outliner right here, right? And it's so big, it's so wide. The EU4 one takes, you know, this amount of space, and the EU5 one is like twice as thick, basically filling up almost this right here. And then you have, you know, any of these screens open, but also when you have an army or unit selected, this, as you guys know, goes all the way to the bottom. So your playable area and what you see on the map is only about, I would say, a little less than half of your screen, right? 45% if you merge those two together. Whereas if you collapse these guys, right, you get so much more real estate. I don't need to know every single thing about the army every time I select it, right? So this is an awesome change, man. I absolutely do love it. I'm definitely going to be using this a lot. And yeah, it just opens so much more, man. And it, you know, you can see the grand scheme of things a lot more. When you're playing as a 1 or 2 province minor, that sure doesn't matter because you're always playing ultra zoomed in. But if you're playing a country that's gotten as big as, you know, Castile or Hungary or Bohemia or Austria here, or shoot, even the size of like Galicia and Serbia and these guys right here, you do want that real estate all the time, and this is another awesome change that I'm super excited for. Next, we got detach and select, another feature that I think was present in EU4. Often when you want to detach a type of units, you'll be able to select them as well. So now left is detach and select, while right is just detach, as it used to be in EU4. Yeah, man, it's as simple as that. Now, sure, we got, you know, the way I most used this was detach cannons, right? So they can stay in siege while the infantry and cavalry do carpet sieging or battles. Sure, that is already present in EU5 with, you know, detach siege, but, you know, it'll only leave as many cannons as it thinks the siege needs, right? Sometimes I want to leave all the cannons behind. So now it's simple, man. Left click, detach and select. You leave them there. Select the other one, go and walk around, do your thing. Another awesome change. Next, we got call into war, which it has always been a little bit wonky, but here, many here have missed a call to war. Yes, okay, that's all of you. Yes. Well, this is now a pop-up just for your convenience, just so it should be impossible to miss it. Boom. Call into the first war of Serbia aggression. Hopefully it auto hard pauses it as well. We can accept, decline, but we also got answer later, which is interesting. I think answer later should allow you to unpause because, for example, let's say, I don't know, let's go back up to this map right here. Let's say, I don't know, what kind of example should we do right here? You're Austria, allied to Bohemia. Bohemia has called you in versus Hungary. But you don't want to immediately accept. Let's say your forts are down, you see Hungary standing on your borders. If you immediately accept, they'll siege you super quick, beat your ass, you got low maintenance. With this right here, you can just answer later, boom, raise the forts, raise the armies in a month and a half, 2 months. I think it was 3 months in EU4, the time you had to accept. Then you accept, then you come into the war. I hope that button works like that, but awesome, obviously, for not missing it as well. And another huge changes that I've been waiting for so long, and I once again can't understand how this wasn't in the game at the start. We had probably one of the best peace screens of all time in EU4, and the ones in EU5 were just so underwhelming. It's like nothing even happened. There we go, end of war. Being called into war is one thing, but what about the end of the war? So far in EU5, it has been a rather lackluster pop-up, I agree, showing the treaty sign. I agree. Now we get a screen more similar to EU4 so you can see total losses and, more importantly, how many civilians died on each side. Listen, total losses and civilian deaths is awesome. right? It tells you how many units you've lost, how many units the enemies has lost, and how detrimental was it to your country. Right here, population casualties. However, this is what I'm interested in seeing. What provinces or locations have I taken? Or if I've helped out an ally, what provinces or locations this ally may have given to me? This is exactly what we wanted. It's just like the EU4 peace screen, ladies and gentlemen. You know, you got you on one side, and if you got anyone helping out, the enemy on the other side, and if they got anyone helping out, casualties. Guys lost to attrition, as we can see right here with the skull, to battles and stuff like that. The Navy as well, Army casualties, Navy casualties, and of course, like I just mentioned, the most important thing, what have we actually gotten from this war? The only thing I'm hoping for here as well is that there are other, peace options that you've done listed here as well. But realistically, it should be, right? So for example, these provinces, and if you scroll down, it's like money and war reps, right? So I hope that's in there. But once again, another super awesome change. Then moving on to levy rally points. This is something you don't really think about, but I think about every time I build up my levies, man. Raising levies is a bit of busy work, but now you can decide where the levy should form up when you raise all levies. This allows you to select the location that all the raised levies will march to and form up in. It's as simple as that, man. Once again, going back to this big screenshot right here, you're playing Hungary, right? For example, raise the levies and they pop out all around your country. Then, you select, with the window thing, and you get them all in Buda, for example, and then you merge them and then you split them into the stacks you want. It doesn't take that much time, but this right here, you just tell them, hey, once you guys raise up, everyone go to Buda. Then I'll do the thing. Another very cool change. Like everything we've gone through so far just makes life easier and better when playing EU5, man. So far, I have not a single thing to complain about, and I'm really excited for it. But that's as simple as that. And then, of course, we have a little bit going on in the economy section over here. I do want to mention that as well. Very important. In order to improve production game flow, we have split the specific locations buildings view from the production buildings tab. Basically, it doesn't pop up in the main thing, right? Is what this is trying to say. That allows the viewer to manage the buildings of a specific location while its own location information instead of market and country level data within its own. This view attached below is now accessible from location panel card in the bottom right buttons, location panel building rows, where buildings are split into a social class, blah. Production buildings panel by left plus alt clicking a location. Yeah, it's as simple as that, man. For min-maxers and maybe when you're playing small countries and for playing tall enjoyers, this is an awesome change where, you want to go into a certain location, see what's there, see what it can be built. For example, scriptoriums, we're going to make money, let's spam them up. Masons, they kind of suck, right? So this is awesome. I feel like when you play a bigger country, this isn't going to be that useful. You're not really looking at stuff on a province by province basis, at least if you're playing expansionist. But like I just mentioned, for min-maxing enjoyers, playing tall enjoyers, and playing small nation enjoyers, if you own, like 5 or 10 locations, obviously you're going to be using this, right? But once you start growing bigger, this is not going to be that relevant. But once again, great change. I absolutely love it. And then finally coming over to map modes, ladies and gentlemen, something people have been moping about since the start. Me, not that much. Only, the rivers thing was taken away, and I'm going to touch on that. But here are just some of the map modes that have been added, or actually all of them. Economical base. Simple, awesome. Potential tax base. Simple, awesome. See which provinces you can get rich. Market food balance. Awesome. Market food stockpile. Awesome as well. Simple and clear map mode instead of going into those interfaces and stuff like that. And map mode percentages for nobles, laborers, burghers, and peasants, which is what this shows. This is the concentration of burghers in my Venice MP campaign. Now it says burghers percentage, but it's not really a percentage in this view. It just tells you the exact amount, but nevertheless. Then we got the threat map mode, basically perhaps which countries, since it's not explained, or maybe it's explained down here, but I guess we'll see. Either which countries you're a threat to, and simultaneously which countries feel threatened by you, or maybe which countries you perceive as threats, but I feel like it's the former. Then the coalition map mode, which it was kind of already there, but no, it's in the antagonism map mode. So yeah, obviously the much requested rivers map mode, which has been in the game since the start, but you can only see it in debug mode, I think, and then it wasn't that good, and it was already in the better road builder mod anyway, and then of course improved road builder map mode. I'm assuming, or expecting at least, for these two to be kind of merged into the better road builder mod, which I use currently. You can see the rivers very clearly highlighted on that map. You know, the roads are better. It tells you, you know, you can see them in different colors, which ones you've upgraded, which ones you haven't. So I'm actually most excited to see these two map modes in 1.1, and I think you guys will be most excited about those as well. So that's awesome. And here's another cool map that is the AI Conquest Desire, which actually it isn't mentioned here, so there's probably more. Now, this is something we've been asking for a while now. However, it's not really that. Let me explain. So if you guys have played EU4, you will know that we have the provinces of interest you know, mechanic or whatever, where you as the player could click on provinces and mark them as vital interest, which increased the likelihood of you know, if you're helping your ally in a war, for them to give you those provinces, or if you're doing your own war, for your allies to transfer occupation of those provinces to you. And of course, the AI used it. You could click on the AI and see which provinces they strongly desired to conquer and which provinces they were kinda interested in, right? So I think this is just an AI one, because as we can see, it's AI Conquest Desire. So for example, here we can see that the Ottomans strongly desire, if it's going from bright green to dark red, strongly desire some stuff in the Karasids, and then, you know, somewhat desire this yellow stuff, less so the orange stuff, not really that much the dark red stuff, and obviously the black stuff they don't desire at all. However, this goes into a mechanic that I'm interested in talking about, which is the, you know, how much the AI desires to conquer something, right? For example, in EU4, it was based off of government rank, which we only had, you know, Duchy, Kingdom, Empire in EU4. Duchies, for example, strongly desired to unite their home area or their own culture. Kingdoms desired their home region and, you know, culture group or whatever, and empires kind of like desired everything. I feel like something like that should be introduced in EU5 as well. I don't know if it is already, but for example, the Ottomans, man, they, you know, they start off at kingdom rank already, so I feel like they should desire to conquer, you know, their home region, their you know, the Anatolian region and stuff like that, and maybe, you know, something else after that. Obviously, we got 4 ranks in EU5. You got County, Duchy, Kingdom, Empire. So I feel like based on the size or the rank of the country, they should desire more things, and they should desire them more strongly. But that's a completely different thing. Either way, this map mode is very welcome. I just hope we are also able to select provinces or locations or areas of vital interest. So, you know, AI guys that you help or that they help you will transfer them or just give them to you in the peace deals. But either way, super welcome change, and I'm happy for it. Later, moving on to mass upgrade right here. While we had the upgrade button on every single building you already had that could upgrade, it was a bit spammy. So now that the mass build button is replaced with and mass upgrade if the selected building can be upgraded. Awesome change, man. It's super simple, but hell yeah. You know, you unlock the next level of building. Yeah, I want to upgrade them all. I just hope it actually does upgrade them and not like when you try to mass build something, it doesn't mass build it. Listen, I don't care that there's no peasants available. They'll become available. Build it literally everywhere that I'm telling you to build it, as long as we have the money, right? Just upgrade everything. I don't care if it'll be non-profitable. I don't care if there's people that can't work there yet. Just upgrade everything like I want you to build everything, right? But either way, excellent change. And another change that I'm super excited for, which I have been, you know, complaining about recently while playing with subjects, is the buying and selling locations. Sometimes when buying or selling locations, you want to process more than one at a time. So now the UI will allow you to sell multiple locations at once. Yeah, and this is awesome, especially for example, if you play with subjects of subjects, right? Let's say you got a vassal that has vassals. You want to, you know, sell provinces, or for free technically, to the vassal of your vassal, or your junior partner, or your junior partner's subject, or something like that. Super helpful. I've been using it. I'm going to be using it even more now. And with that said, there are a lot of other minor UI things, improved tooltips, small quality of life things, and more coming, including embarking on units with as many as you can in one click. Yes, excellent. And that's been it for this UI focused dev diary, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, man, every change over here I'm absolutely loving. and it's getting me more and more excited about 1.1 Rossbach, and I think it's just gonna be an awesome update, man. Yeah, something we've been waiting on for a while. But now, with the non-controversial things out of the way, with the stuff everyone is gonna love out of the way, let's move on to stuff that not everyone agrees with. Mechanics changes. Alright, so first off, privateering is on the list, which, so far, man, it's in the game, but it's not really like something you do. Playing, piratical style countries isn't really all that, but, let's see what PDX has to say right here. So, let's talk about privateering. Previously, it has been merely a way to harass other countries, reduce their maritime presence, and if you had the ability to do it, raid some slaves. In the next update, though, you will now be able to get some gold from the area your privateers are active in. Of course, the same type of building that blocks slave raiders also blocks privateers from getting gold. So there we go. You can see, privateering in the Levantine Sea. This is the income. This is everything you're getting from certain provinces over here. So I do think it'll definitely be more viable, and it might be time for a Knights playthrough once this update drops. Now, going into the topography bonuses right here, as we mentioned during the roadmap, we have given Austria some buffs to one of their advances to make them have less of a problem while having an empire in the Alps. Let's see who and what else could get potential topography benefits or penalties. Interesting. So yeah, a buff to this right here, man, minus 50% mountains proximity, hills, and plateau proximity, which is absolutely awesome, at least specifically for Austria, for pushing through those mountains. As you guys know, mountains are, very detrimental to control and proximity and stuff like that. If you're playing in a super mountainous region, let's say, certain parts of Italy are like that, down the middle of Italy, not even mentioning the Alps. You got certain parts in the Balkans with lots of mountains, and Anatolia as well, Morocco in them, so this will be very cool. Obviously, it's only specifically for Austria, but maybe countries that have historically prospered in regions like that, will get other types of bonuses, as this says right there. Then moving on to something very annoying that I'm glad is solved, small revolts. Nobody likes to run a large empire with a standing army closer to 100,000 and then get an uprising in 3 locations with a total army of 85 men. Yeah. Now, instead of there's less than 5,000 pops backing a rebellion, they will instead give a debuff to the locations they have support in. The 5,000 threshold is subject to change. Perhaps it should scale with the size of the country as well. Yeah. I mean, obviously, and especially with that whole bug, man, where you get an uprising of pops, but they don't, there's not enough of them to where they uprise with a location, and then they get someone big to support them, and then you can full annex the supporter by annexing the people. It's crazy, but yeah, this is a very welcome change. Hopefully, yeah, I think the numbers are fine too. Then we got slavery market distribution. Previously, slaves got assigned to locations as they got traded or captured into the market, and using the intermarket migration system just felt entirely wrong, from both a gameplay perspective where they won't move to where they are wanted, and from an immersion perspective as well. In 1.1 though, there'll be an internal slave distribution system inside each market where any location which wants slaves can get up to 250 slaves from a location with a surplus in the same market. I mean, dude, it makes sense. It really wasn't like this. Yeah, okay, another awesome change. Yeah, another great change. Then we move on to threat. Now, this is something we discussed in the map, in the UI things as well. Every country has a view over how threatening another country is, which depends on their economical base, their military, and their population, all relative to you. There's also a factor reducing the relative threat depending on how far away their borders are from you. Having a country that is a threat as a rival is beneficial to you as well, but the rival can easily manufacture a CB on you. So there we go, Hungary is a threat. We are Venice here, as we can see, because, the economy, because of military, and because of the population, and as a rival, we gain these things: complacency, which we'll talk about very soon, prestige, and a diplo rep. Yeah, another excellent change, man. Perceived threats, I think this is good, and I just hope they don't gotta fix Portugal and Castile again, and I hope they don't see each other as threats, but aside from that, I like it. Now, moving on to one of the most controversial things right here, complacency, ladies and gentlemen. Some of you may already know about this because it is from last week, but let's dive into it nonetheless. So one of the major complaints with our games is that there's no mechanics to simulate why empires decline. Our new complacency mechanic is one of the ways we deal with this. Complacency increases if you don't have any outside threats, primarily from not having threatening rivals, while it is reduced by having threatening rivals, being targeted by a coalition, or losing war. And these are pretty much the impacts of like max complacency, but like I said, like it says down here, numbers are subject to change, and prestige decay was already removed prior to testing. So we got this right here. Now, complacency, man, I don't think I have to explain the word. It's like, you know, to explain it in layman's terms, you got too big as a country and now you don't give a frick about anything. You're like, I'm so rich, we got so many people, my army's huge, I can crush anyone, and I'm just kind of chilling, doing whatever I want. You've become complacent, right? So complacency of Venice right here. At 100, we got these effects, which are absolutely horrible. Minus 20% tax efficiency, plus 100% proximity cost. Prestige decay has been removed, so we're not reading this. And obviously, these are not final numbers. Plus 1% army and navy tradition decay, minus 100% efficiency of the cabinet, minus 30% loyalty of subjects, minus 50% trade efficiency, minus 50% projection efficiency. Now, these numbers are obviously huge, and at 100, you know, the way you'll get 100 of this is like, I think, man, if maybe you own like all of this right here, right? I think you got to be really huge to get to 100 if you lack all of these things. As for the numbers, man, I think by the late game, minus 20% won't be that big of a hit, but I think this is a bit too much, and I think this is too much as well. The other things, you know, I really can't say. Maybe efficiency of cabinet as well. We'll see how the numbers end up being, you know, with their testing, and I'm sure they'll be tweaked after this comes out as well if people complain enough. But this is obviously a feature you won't really probably encounter in the first, second, maybe even third or fourth ages, depending on how aggro you are and stuff like that, and how much you expand. Yeah, I guess it remains to be seen. Although I do think, you know, Yuan will probably immediately start suffering from this, which they don't need any more suffering. Yuan is already hard enough, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I guess we'll see. I personally don't have a negative opinion on this. I like it. Obviously, the numbers can be tweaked a little bit right here, and that's at 100%, which I don't think it'll be that easy to get to 100%. The lack of threatening rivals increase sure does worry me, though. So yeah, I guess it remains to be seen, or maybe if we get some more news regarding it. And then, of course, a little more UI changes right here, you know, going off of this. First off, we have, you know, price in the market tooltip, where now you can see the effective supply and demand that impacts the price, and you can also tooltip every point at the price graph to see historical prices. Hey, nice. I hope this is in just the economy panel as well, because right now that chart that we get the changes every month doesn't mean anything. What the hell does it mean, right? So this is obviously a nice change as long as it's in economy as well. And we've also reworked how the economy is tracked for estates. You can now see all factors and can thus determine how well they're doing, which is awesome. You can see how much money they have, how much they're making, what they're spending on trading, on food, paying tithes, you know, expenses and stuff like that. So yeah, and the, you know, enrichment and estate power and stuff like that, and what they're aiming to do. So this is another awesome change. Will it be that useful? Maybe not that useful, but definitely useful. And then moving on, in 1.0.10, we started showing production efficiencies in the building screen for existing buildings. In 1.1, we will also show the potential production efficiency of a building in a specific location as well. So yeah, potential production efficiency. Nice little change right there for all the economics lovers. And also what we already mentioned right here in the, you know, in the end war screen, which is displaying the total attrition losses in a war, which you can see in the tooltip as well. And maybe this will be your new favorite, the ability to set which filter should be the default in each screen, which it will pick when you open it again. Yes. Yes, this is going to be very useful, not just for culture groups, but for the buildings as well. Why are they never in alphabetical order? So yeah, that's a nice change. So as it says right here, man, there are many more mechanics, content, and UI changes in 1.1, and next week will be a meaty one with lots of new UI improvements shown off in detail, which we already talked about. So yeah, man, like I mentioned many times so far, 1.1 is shaping up to be awesome. I don't know where I read, I think Paradox said it, that they're aiming for it to be February, depending on how ambitious it is. I think it might get pushed back to March. I honestly have no idea, but as long as changes like this, awesome changes keep coming, I think we will all be enjoying 1.1 quite a lot, especially with these UI changes. What I'm really excited about, though, is hearing how they'll fix the HRE, because, you know, if we take a look at some of the screenshots PDX has provided us with here, we can see 1451, and England's in the HRE. Yeah, not as aggro as they usually are, man. Austria's taken Bavaria. France has pushed in a little bit over here, which isn't a problem. But Bohemia's not that aggro. Yeah. Let's check and examine if they've done something to the HRE and are not telling us. I think all of these screenshots here are actually from the same game. So let's see if we got anything in maps right here. We can't see the year. It's the same game though. Look at Austria. Yeah, it's the same game. So yeah, that's one thing I'm excited to see, man, what they've done with the HRE. Obviously, a little bit about the levies, mercenaries, and regulars changes right here, which I'm also going to talk about. So let's do this final thing and we'll wrap it up. First of all, we have removed the levy-specific special scaling abilities for damage dealt or damage taken. Now, it's purely 0.5 times 1 plus levy combat efficiency capped at 1, which means that you can stack up to plus 100% levy combat efficiency. Your levies will be as good, except for the 10% discipline, for each soldier as regulars and mercenaries. Levies no longer have a severe penalty to assaulting. Now it's using the normal levy count, which is excellent. I like this change. And levies no longer have a minimum size of 1,000 men, but instead have the same size of their recruit regiments as regulars and mercs. Yeah, I don't even know why this was in the game at the start, man. Regiments now scale from 500 infantry to 3,000 infantry over the ages, so changes, big changes actually on that, whereas they started with 100, and then from 200 to 1,200 cavalry, which they started from 50. Though the age advances instead of doubling each age, this will create less of a huge power spike each age, but instead get a more balanced progression, as well as making levies scale together. And once again, when it comes to mercs, which we already touched on a little bit, we've changed the contracting price from 150% of the unit construction to 25% of constructing a regular, and the cost for the leader is far cheaper as well. Yeah, we're finally going to be playing with mercs, man. You guys have no idea how happy I am. And then, of course, we've gone from a 0 to 5 dice roll to 0 to 9, just like EU4 had, which is awesome. And flanks for infantry have been changed. And, you know, all of that good stuff down here, and artillery deals more damage, which is awesome. And some buildings have also been adjusted for the regiment size changes, which is great. Everything I've read so far, man, from the 1.1 update coming is awesome. I'm very excited to be playing it. We as creators, at least I don't think a lot of us or any of us have access to these anymore. You know, we just got the regular betas as you guys. You know, when a DLC does come around, I'm sure we'll have access to that. But regular updates like this, hey, I'm just like you guys, man. I'm a man of the people. But with all of that said, folks, let me know in the comments, man, are you excited about 1.1? Are you keeping up with the dev diaries? Are you liking the changes that have been introduced, especially the UI and complacency? Let me know what you think about that. Obviously, leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and if it was informative, subscribe for more EU5 videos and more EU5 news. I don't do these regularly, but I really like this whole UI thing, man, and I just really wanted to talk about it because it's, like I said so many times, everything I'm seeing is awesome, and I think it'll be a great update. But yeah, let me know what you think. Leave a like, subscribe, and yeah, that's it from me for now. See you next time.